day that you blessed us with. We thank you for each one that's here today. Be with us as we make decisions that would be what's best for Henry County and our citizens. Be with our men and women fighting for our freedom. We might stand here today. Just, be with our country. Be with our president and our vice president and cabinet as they make decisions. And they'll look to you for guidance. We just praise you and love you and ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Recreation Workshop of the Henry County Board of County Commissioners being held on Tuesday, January 28th, 2020 at 9 a.m. in County Commissioners Chambers, Bell, Florida. In attendance are Chairman Mitchell Wills, Vice Chair Emma Byrd, Commissioners Darrell Harris, Commissioners Michael Swindle, Commissioners Carson Turner, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, County Attorney Mark Lapp, Ad Interim Clerk Kimberly Barano.
Thank you, ma'am. Again, this is a workshop for the recreation. We appreciate everyone being here this morning. Mayor Lyons, thank you for being here this morning. We appreciate that. Miss Nelson and Ms. Rankins is here as well. Appreciate y'all being here so we can get moving on this. Let's just dive right in.
Good morning, thank you. Before you, you have a handout of the copy of the PowerPoint that we're going to go through. I prepared this to facilitate the discussion. We've got an hour and a half, so we have 45 minutes, give or take, for each East and West discussion, just to keep us on point. And I'm going to go over the revenue sources, and then I'm going to hand it over to Romero to discuss the West Recreation specifically, and then we'll go to East Recreation and have an overview of that. Your handout has East first and then West, so we're just going to flip it around a little bit for a few people in the audience for their schedules. So the first item, I'm going to do it like this. That we're going to talk about is just kind of mold the MSBU discussion from a taxation perspective. So Hendry County has two MSBUs, East MSBU and a West MSBU. And the East MSBU is a levy of $100 per dwelling, except for Central County, and that is $40 per dwelling, and it brings in an annual revenue of $385,000. In addition, on the east side, we have an interlocal agreement with the city of Clewiston where we provide $150,000 a year for them to provide specified services per year. On the west side, it's a similar taxation structure at $100 per dwelling with an annual revenue of $538,100, and it's broken down into $75 and $25 respectfully for general recreation, and then $25 specifically for Flory Park. Okay. Flip through and get to the west side here, West Recreation. West Recreation, as you know, we have a interlocal agreement with the Henry LaBelle Rec Board. And it is comprised of two county commissioners, two city commissioners, and school board members. Is that correct? Correct. And Romero Rodriguez is the director, and he's here before us this morning. You also have a separate handout specifically just for West Rec that looks like this, and he's going to go through this with you.
My name is Romero Rodriguez, Recreation Director for Henry LaBelle Recreation Board. Good morning, Commissioners. Glad to be here with you. Talked about recreation on the west side, and hopefully I'll be able to answer any of your questions that we need to address. And I'm just going to start off by giving a little recap of what West Rec, when they started, how they started, and where we're at right now. Back in 1990, we did an interlocal agreement to create Henry LaBelle Recreation Board, consisting of two county commissioners, which two of them sit right in front of me, Mr. Wills, Mr. Harris, and then we got 2 city commissioners, David Lyons, Amanda Nelson. Those are my board. Those are the people that help me direct traffic in the West Recreation. As of now, when I first started back in 2009, like everybody has talked about in previous years, how bad the economy was at that time, we had started the new park on Forey Drive. You know, the bottom fell out of the economy and everything went still. We still continue trying to move forward in that park and all our additional parks. We got basically 2 separate budgets right now. I call it the original budget and then the Forey budget. One we collect $75, the other one we collect $25, which is $100 from the county side. From the city side, we collect $125. And so that being said, with the original budget consists of basically 15 to 16 parks. I'm going to go ahead and name them. I'm going to describe what we have, what we do, and for a quick visual of the area here in the LaBelle area. We start off with Felda. Felda, we have the basketball court, and we do have a playground. Last 2 to 3 years, we put in a brand new playground, boulder, mulch, picnic tables with grill out there. And it's used by the community in that center quite a bit. My brother lives there in Felda. I go visit him and always see people there picnicking in the table where the kids are playing in the playground. Additional stuff that I want to do there is cornhole, also to get the family members involved. Since I've been director, 2 things that I've really been concentrated on has been about turning these parks into family-oriented type parks. That, and the reason being, when the whole family gets involved, it helps should I say, everybody looking out for everybody and everybody looking up for the parks. So our vandalism has decreased a lot due to being family. And of course, nowadays with social media, everybody's got cameras and everybody's taking pictures of everybody. So that helps out also. One other thing that I've tried to accomplish as a recreation director has been to provide recreation for anybody from the age of 2 to 102. That is my model. That's what I want to accomplish. Am I there yet 100%? Absolutely not. But I will fight hard to try to achieve those goals. And I got goals set for each park to be able to accomplish that. Besides the park in Felda, then we got Davis Park, which is probably our oldest park, over 50 years old. It's 29.3 acres. We have 5 baseball fields, 2 practice baseball fields, and that's where Pop Warner organization plays, also with their football field, concession stand, pavilion, and that in that park there. Since I started, we put all the bleachers under concrete pads. We widened the entrance to the park with concrete. We redid the building. The concession stand is a 2-story building. The top portion was really in bad shape. We put a lot of money to get it up to par. We've been putting additional lighting. We've done probably 60% of the fencing, because as you well know, being 50 years old, fences starts wearing out, breaking, this and that. So I'm still lacking about 40% to complete new fencing around the entire park. Not only in the perimeter fencing, but we did individual fencing from Pop Warner to Little League, so it really isolates from people driving their vehicles inside the fields. So it's really helped out a lot. We also provided bathroom facilities. That was over $80,000 that we spent, and this happened about 4 to 5 years ago. This past year, in the past 2 to 3 years, we did a little pavilion right in front of the bathroom facilities. Plus, we did a real nice batting cage. The batting cage is 24 feet by 70 feet. It's big. It's a dual tunnel. that the kids can use. Just this week, we finished up the lighting in it, put up the net properly, so it's ready to go for Little League for this coming season. We just got in, my office got in a new scoreboard for the major field. It's a 6x8, it's a big one. So we got to install that one this coming week. And we got a secondary scoreboard coming for the girls softball field also. So those are just improvements in that park alone. Then I can take you to the rodeo grounds. Rodeo ground has really exploded. And let me just make one comment. Recreation, when I first started, it seemed like it was just seasonal. Baseball started at this date, and it ended at this date. Now, and I'm sure all of you are aware of it because a lot of you are involved with sports and always been, and we're always kids. And the recreation has gone year-round. There's traveling ball. There's all kind of different groups playing it. I'll give you an example. Soccer, we think it's 11-11. There's groups out there, 11-11, 9-on-9, 7-on-7, 5-on-5, even 3-on-3. That's statewide competition. So a lot of these traveling teams that the players come from the LaBelle area and surrounding areas, they use our fields to train for the traveling teams. That applies to softball, that applies to Pop Warner, and all the other sports also. So recreation has really, really taken off. I take recreation seriously. I think recreation is important as well as Road and Bridge it is to Shane, or a special district is to Roger. Me as recreation is a big portion of the community, a big portion that we provide for the citizens here in this area. As you well know, and I don't have to tell you information, and number one and number two or three reason people move into town. Number one is schools. Number two, three is recreation. So I just want to upkeep and continue the recreation for the future people and kids in the bill. Not necessarily only kids, but everybody. I'm 62 years old. I wish I could go be out there playing the game I love. And that's the way I feel. And I take it real strongly that I'm just going to say a little story that's always affected me. When I was in high school, we played the very last game in Marathon. We won 15-13. I get a hip pointer. I was crying all the way back to LaBelle, which you know is a 4-hour drive. Craig Davison, a friend of mine, approaches me and says, "Are you okay? Are you still hurting?" And I said, "I'm fine, Craig. I'll be okay." I was not crying because of the hip pointer. I was crying because of the game that I loved was going to come to an end. Because I couldn't afford to go to college, couldn't afford to continue playing this game. Now I'm proud to say when I graduated from LaBelle High School in 1976, there was very, very little recreation here in the LaBelle area. And so now for me to see all the recreation every afternoon, every single park, and I'm sure it applies to the Clueston side also, people, families, grandpas, parents out there with their kids, it's amazing. It makes me real happy to see that these activities exist at this date that didn't exist when I was growing up. So I'll continue my story while I'm telling you about other different parks. We have the soccer fields, which is located right in my office. My office sits at 310 Cowboy Way, and that's the main building that we generate all the information and all the anything going to recreation goes through my office. And the soccer field is 23.7 acres. It's part city, part county. And we have 8 soccer fields. We have 1 pavilion. We have 2 basketball courts. One of the basketball courts is lit. We also have 3 soccer fields that are lit also. We took out a loan, the Henry LaBelle Recreation Board took out a loan for First Bank of Clueston about 4 years ago, and we're almost paying that off and providing soccer games at nighttime, which is awesome because we cannot cramp them up during the day, especially when the sun falls so early. And a big portion of that part that comes to my heart was Zach's Playground. I created a committee, and we did it strictly by donations and fundraisers, and it took us quite a while. but a bunch of people, there were 10 of us involved, and made it happen. Over 3 years later and $300,000 later, we got a Zach's Playground, which is a big addition to our parks in LaBelle. And the reason I say it's a big addition because everybody uses it. We have LES across the street that sends a group of kids crossing the road to come use our playground. We got the Country Oaks that uses it also. We even got a Glades Elementary that comes in bus loads. I would say 2 bus loads are at that park per week using that playground. The summer camp program provided by Tommy and niece Rick, sometimes they swing by and use our playground also, and which is it's a big help and a big addition to everybody. The whole community, all the organizations, and all the school uses this playground. And also in that park, we have right in front of the playground, we have exercise equipment. We got 10 pieces of equipment that can work out your entire body. No, it's not weights. No, it's not hydraulic. It's just motion type exercise. About 6 months ago, I'm out there talking to a lady, approached us, said, how do you like the equipment? And this lady was an elderly lady in her 70s, 80s, I don't know, talking to her daughter, which was probably 50, 60. Says, oh, we come use this exercise equipment because my mom just had a stroke. But we couldn't afford the $150 for therapy a day, so we come here to get a therapy here with this exercise equipment. So what I'm saying by that little story there, that we recreation touch people in different ways that we don't realize, in different ways, and this is a good example here. So we have those 10 exercise equipment in front of the playground. That there alone was over $30,000. We also have a 3/4 mile walking track around that entire park. I would love to invite you and spend a day, mornings especially, afternoons, to see the type of people that use that walking track. We got 2 RV parks that are right next door, which is LaBelle Woods and Daniel Henthorne's RV park also. They come and use it on a daily basis. People of all ages, people that are pregnant, people that just had their babies, with their baby strollers, walking and exercising that track. So I'm really proud of that track, and it's a multiple use. We have at Martin Luther King area, we have Joe Culver Park, little park that's got a nice little playground. We just put a new border playground. We put a brand new swing set a year ago, and there's some more stuff going in there. A little merry-go-round and a little pavilion is going to be added on. We got an additional swing set we installed at Kid Jones Park. Also, Kid Jones Park, we have a full-size basketball pavilion with that is covered. We also installed a walking track for them. Theirs is a little bit smaller. It's 1/4 mile, but they have it there also to exercise. Besides the basketball pavilion, there's another additional pavilion in the opposite corner, good size. It's about 26 by 58 feet, and that's where they hold a lot of their little events and stuff like that for different occasions throughout the year. There's picnic tables out there. There's trash cans, and so a nice area. 2 parks there, and also we have the Singleton building. Singleton building is the center location for all the people to come together and use that for different occasions. Backpack giveaways, summer programs, all kind of events go through that building there, which is used by the community, which is awesome. Then we have in the city limits, we have the nature park right on the river. It's 10 acre. We and the Rotary put in a pavilion right by the river, and they also help us fund 3 picnic tables under concrete, and we have trails that go throughout the whole 10 acres. We got them marked for different plants, what they are. You can Google it and get all type of information. We do the Earth Week, which comes up every single year in April, and we have all the elementary kids from the surrounding areas use that park for Earth Week and the Captain Henry House. So in the past, we've been doing this. This is year number 13. I started that my first year on board, and we've averaged about 1,000 kids per year. So it's a big event there. If you cross the river, we got Boat Dock. Boat Dock, we did install 2 pavilions. Those pavilions are under concrete with picnic tables, barbecue grills also. Nice parking lot. Thank you to the commission here for the Boaters Improvement Fund. And we been improving that park as we speak quite a bit. We did all the bumpers. We did all the cones that were already rotten. And we paved the asphalt. So we've been doing a lot of improvements. We opened up some areas right next door to Bob Mason. Mr. Wills wanted to see more people using it. So we opened it up and we put some gazebos out there with more picnic tables. And you should go by there every weekend. It's packed with people also. So it's amazing. So, that's another area that we take care of. Of course, we also have the, let me go back a little bit to the rodeo grounds. Rodeo grounds has been, when I first started, was a little bit, not much activity. Now the place is really booming year round. Not only the 4-H and the other clubs that have Tuesdays and Thursdays every week for practice for the kids, for barrel racing and that type of activity. We do hold concerts there. We do hold quinceañeras. We do hold weddings. We provide services for dudas and employees. We provide services for Paul Manor and D&K Harvesting when they bring the workers, which is anywhere from 400 to 600. They don't have a place big enough to be able to provide services for them, so they use the rodeo grounds for those type of activities. So we've had a circus for the past 8-9 years also there. Mitchell does his festival fall every year for the community, which gets jam-packed and does a great job. So that rodeo grounds has really been used to the max, and I'm happy to see that. There we did a lot of improvements. We put the concrete under that berry, we call it Berry Barn, which is a pavilion, which is 100 by 200 feet. We put under concrete, now allowing us to have all kind of activities in there. We had an announcer's booth that was to the north side. On the side, we moved it right in front of the arena with a steel catwalk, beautiful. We have a big, nice entrance sign at the beginning. So, and then we also have 10, I call them RV hookups for the horse trailers. Anybody stays over for security reasons, whatever, they can plug up and hook up and stay overnight to oversee their equipment during the night. Then I'll get to sports complex, which, as you well know and aware of, sports complex started almost roughly 10 years ago. It was just a little bit before my time. I came on board, and we started moving forward. At that time, we did have 2 grants for $565,000, some from the city and some from the county. Those are the only 2 grants that we have gotten from the state of Florida, on that park or any other park.
Wait a second. Did you get grants from the state of Florida? Or did you get grants from the city and the county?
City and county, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So a FERDAP grant was never awarded at the LaBelle Sports Park? Is the LaBelle Sports Park the same thing as the Forey Park? It's not, is it?
Yes,
It is?
yes.
That's what-
Okay.
Yeah, it was FERDAP, I'm sorry.
So it was from the
Yeah.
state of Florida. Okay, so the state of Florida gave us $565,000, but the county and the city did or did not contribute?
No.
No.
did
Okay.
not.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
But the city and county applied.
Yeah, multiple times.
So when we started that park, of course, we used the grant money and doing basically all the utility underground services, the retaining ponds, and trying to get the land cleaned up to be able to move forward. We had a lot of trimming to do, a lot of removing on trees. In the process of digging for all these big retaining ponds and everything, we encountered a lot of field dirt and a lot of excess shell rock, plus a lot of boulders, rocks. What we did, and it took us quite a while to clean that up, I started giving a lot of field dirt away to the entities, City of LaBelle, the high school, and the county. There at the end, Shane's department came in with a crusher and started crushing, and we just basically gave everything to Shane, crushed it up, and used it for a lot of projects, and I think saved the taxpayers a lot of money in the process. And he can verify on that. So that took a lot of time, clean that up, and we still have some out there, but we're still working on it right now. As of 5-6 years ago, I created a little golf driving range there. And on the north side of the park, we have about 5 acres of wooded area. We have walking trails. We have two subdivisions, housing, one across the street to the west side, and one behind on the east side, which is country village houses that use that walking trail almost every single day. So no, that park has not been open to the public, and the reason it was not open to the public, it was unsafe because of all the boulders, holes, and that type of deal there. But we did open it up in little sections for multiple use for the school, and so we try to move forward there. We have 2 bathrooms there, 2 playgrounds there with border. We have paved all the entrance, the parking lot, all the way to the concession stand, and concrete all the way on the 5 baseball fields. We started bringing up some of the baseball fields with the backstops. We got 5 backstops already built out there. We got some dugouts that we're working on and other baseball facilities. Since we started that at 2011, we got our first $25 increase for that park. Since then, we have created a new shop in that location to keep all of our equipment safely. We, the Henry LaBelle West Rec, did not have a shop. We had at Davis Park, we had a little open cover with no doors or nothing in equipment. Some of the stuff was vandalized and that type of deal. So we went to the new park and created a nice size shop, 40 by 80, with roll down doors and everything. We can store all our equipment there. And so that's been a big help, big addition to have security on all the money that we invest in our equipment. Our equipment has upgraded quite a bit in the past 10 years. When I first started, and I understand, everything was hard to come by. We have been purchasing a lot of new equipment for the playing fields. Now, I'm proud to say to this date, we have never purchased new trucks for the recreation department since the 10 years I've been there. We've always been getting some hand-me-downs from the county, which is fine, and we don't have a problem. We just got 2 of them from Port LaBelle Utility, and we got one from code enforcement. One I had to fix the rear end, and one I got to put a motor. But that's cheaper than buying a $20,000, $30,000 truck. And we only use the trucks in close areas, so that works out fine. So my point I'm trying to make here is we try to pinch pennies and save money for taxpayers any way we can to provide the funding for other parks and other recreation. So that's pretty well an overview of what West Rec does. I do have 4 employees. I do have an assistant director, Randy White. It's myself as director and Lily Hart as my office manager. What we take care of total, and I just mentioned some of the parts, some of the equipment, and I really didn't go in detail, but I'll be glad to, and got more information. I can give you packages with all the detailed information at any given time. We basically take care of about 175 acres total. So with the manpower we have, that almost equivalent to 43.2 acres per employee. So I think my guys do a fantastic job, and it sometimes gets rough, guys. It's not easy. It gets rough, especially now that, like I said, that the sports is going year round, and now we had a soccer tournament, and we normally average 400 to 500. Well, we had over 1,500 with the parents and grandparents because it was closing ceremonies, and that happens in Little League also. In all the organs, I'm sure it happens in Clueston also. So it's really growing, and sometimes it gets a little bit hard to adjust, but we tend to figure it out at the end of the day and move forward. So I think that pretty well covers West Rec.
Help facilitate next steps for Forey Park for the commissioners' discussion points. I just prepared, it's just a summary. In your packet that Romero supplied, for example, completed to date is on page 3. And he did a summary of, it's approximately, not quite $1.5 million, and he's got a summary of everything and the cost of what's been put in that park to date. On page 2, you will see a total of $2.5 million that is available, currently available for funding to get to the next steps of that park in order to be able to open it properly. And what that consists of is approximately $900,000 in reserves currently on hand.
Is that just essentially the 180 over time adding up?
Part of it is the 180, and part of it is other reserves in West Rec in general. So all of the 180 plus some of the other West Rec dollars. Of the 180, I believe the 211 is what you had in the current budget for
Correct.
the current year.
Correct.
And then I forget how many years ago they were approved for a loan, but they never used it for 1.4 million. And so as of late, they went back to the bank, and the bank is honoring it. Got all the paperwork redone, and you haven't drawn on any of it yet. But that 1.4 million is available, and it is also able to be paid out of the current assessment. So out of the current $100 that you have now, that 1.4, when the bank, did it to begin with, they saw that they could pay the loan payment out of the current funding. So for discussion's sake, there's potentially $2.5 million with including the loan that could be used for the next steps. And so I thought, that would be a point of discussion that you all would want to talk about, what that looks like, what those next steps are, what that will accomplish, and then timeframes.
If I can add on to that right there, I met with Eric from FP&L, and one thing is structure that we're doing different. Of course, our number one problem that's been slowing us to move forward in this park has been construction money, because we're under the construction phase. Well, FP&L now started a new program where they're going to provide all our security lighting for the entrance of the park, the parking lot, all the way to the concession stand. And we went out there, measured, did some poll numbers, and some's got 2 heads, some got 3 heads, some even got 4 heads. And what it's going to cost us is $471 to provide that security lighting, which some of this 2.5 won't have to come from that. They put the money up front. I mean, you can't beat that. And we'll have proper security lighting in this park. And also, while I'm mentioning security lighting, we're meeting with Eric. We are providing additional security lighting on all our parks. Davis Park needs security lighting in the parking lot. So does the Pop Warner side. So does the soccer field. So does the rodeo grounds. And so we got numbers on all that, and we, the rec board, are moving forward to be able to address that issue also.
So just for a point of discussion, for time's sake, I didn't know, for the 2.5 million, if you want to talk about what that looks like and what that would accomplish, and then maybe time frame.
Right now, we're in the process to do a bidding package with the help of Shane and his department on getting 2 bids out. One, the electrical runs, and the concession stand. Once we get those numbers, then we'll, depending on what those numbers are, we can decide how much it's gonna take to accomplish those two things. And then at a later date, we would like to accomplish the sports lighting for the 5 baseball fields.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
let me see here. Page, I guess it's page 8. I can't identify it.
Yes, sir.
But there was a statement in there about, where's the paragraph said it's a $10 million park? Y'all know what I'm talking about?
10 million is a rough estimate at the beginning of
Yeah,
when they.
Where's that written at?
Right here, 8,
Second to last paragraph on 8.
but no,
So at the end of the recession, the rec board was asked to deliver a $10 million park, and you got the breakdown. So the $10 million park, going back to page 1, that's, somebody told you all you could build that for $10 million?
Yeah, 10 years ago, that's what the estimate was. Those numbers will change, Mr. Turner.
we knew you couldn't do anything, you couldn't take $25 and build a $10 million park.
No, that's not my question. My question is, I don't know who gave you that rough of an estimate, but they struggle with math and construction and dirt and a whole bunch of things.
Wasn't that Bronco?
I don't know what.
At that time, 10 years ago.
I don't care. I don't care if it was 20 years ago. You're not going to build that pool, this parking lot of a 9,850 square foot fitness center, put anything in it, a football field, a 600 square foot pavilion, another 1,200 square foot concession, bleachers. I mean, bleachers alone are $500,000 for a football field.
Yeah, well, all that's been scratched.
Mr. Turner, when this was done 10 years ago, and we've been following this here, I got to sit with my board and discuss this. This blueprint here will change to accommodate the money situation that we're dealing with. So some of the items here would be eliminated.
Well, hold on now. I'm not asking to eliminate anything. I'm asking to put the reason why I wanted to chat this morning is I wanted to know what the plan is for West Rec moving forward. I was sold, sitting over there in that chair back in '08, that we needed to go up, and maybe it was 11, but I don't remember. There was a time we needed to go from 100 to 125 or 75 to 100. You remember?
That was in 2016.
Yep. So we did that. Then we needed to go back and raise it again. But I just want to know what we're planning on doing with that. I'm not opposed to raising an assessment as long as I know what the plan looks like and what we're going to do with the plan.
Anyway, what we'd like to do is complete the 5 ball fields.
Uh-huh.
We'd like to put in a basketball pavilion, because we have 1 gym, and we have 375 kids trying to participate. So we want to put in a pavilion with lights for practice facility, and open up when the season's off for everybody. We'd like to put in a golf putting green for the senior citizens, improve the walking trails. We'd like to put in, one of the fastest growing thing now is pickleball courts. And then as we look to the funding through the loan and our balance, whatever the funding will allow us, we will continue to add on to the park. But to me, this would be like a phase 1.
Mr. Turner,
We
Mr.
should
Turner.
be able to do right now.
At this point, we're just trying to open up the baseball stuff, and then whatever money we get on a yearly basis, we continue improving the parks as we go along, like we've done the rest of our parks in
But
the
we should be able to do baseball and all this at one time.
Do you have a quote from Musco or any lighting rep right now for your 5 fields to be lit?
Yes, I do.
What's that number?
About 1 million.
About $1 million.
Yes, sir.
And you're sitting with 900,000 cash on hand without even a loan. So I mean, there's no reason why we can't pull the trigger and make that happen, correct?
Correct.
We're just waiting on, it takes forever for our county engineer.
Well, a lot of this discussion we're having, let's just move forward. A lot of this discussion was brought up because of that. 3 years ago, when I came on the board, that was questions I started asking. there's a lot of money sitting there, like you said. Now, we've done a lot of improvements, and he has done a tremendous amount of improvements at the rodeo grounds. They have, I think, 8 goals there now where they can practice.
4 basketball goals we
Both
put
sides
under
of it.
that pavilion.
You can actually have
Yeah.
So you have the goals there where they can practice. But that's been a question we've been talking about, and I'm really glad we come to this point, because the citizens want to know, when are you going to open this park? What are you going to do with this park? Why hasn't the park been opened? And the question is, if we have that $900,000, what are we doing with it right now? Second question, do we have a site plan? Has the site plan been approved? I can tell you that I got sticker shock the other day. You're talking about $10 million park. 35,000 square foot building, $5.3 million on 5 acres. I about had a heart attack. I don't think our $10 million is even close.
No, this
Site
is
work,
this is
just
going-
the site work on 5 acres for a parking lot and to even do anything at all, $575,000.
That's awful.
That's what going prices are. So do we have that? Do we have the site plan? Is it approved? And now, when you start changing the footprint, you got to go back and redo the site plan. You got to get it reapproved. Do we have building plans? Do we have plans that we can hand to a contractor and say, here's what I want in my concession stand?
And that's what we're working on right now.
Those are numbers we have to have before we can see.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair,
We can guess, but we're not getting there.
Director Romero, you say that's what we're working on right now. Who's we, and what do you mean we're working on it?
We're going with H.L. Bennett to help us get this paperwork together. I met with Shane Bennett and also ATP Electric Engineering to help us direct me on how to move forward. To bid
Mr.
out.
Bennet's on retainer with West Rec.
Yeah, but he's taking way too long.
Well, we need to give him more money and then prod him.
Have you
Because if he's
already-
doing it for gratis, we're
No,
you
he's
know,
not doing.
good.
No,
Have you already talked to him to boost him up?
yes, but I need to.
But I think that this, I mean, I think that this should be something to your site plan statement, Mr. Chair. You know, and I don't ever want you all to bypass the engineer that you have on board. But I guarantee you, Mr. Bennett knows Musco Lighting. They're the largest lighting rep in the nation,
Yes,
maybe
sir.
the world.
Yes, sir.
They'll come in, they'll send their team in, and for nothing, they'll look at that, and then they'll give you an idea and say, well, hold on, what does your master plan look like? Because do you want to do 6 lights around these fields, or do you want to do 10 lights around the entire perimeter and light the whole place up? You know, and then you want to have dark sky light. What do you want to do here?
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that, you know, from a plan perspective, you know, you said y'all sold a bunch of field. You said y'all have done a lot of groundwork. You've done some hills. You've done a driving range. You know, you've given us a menagerie of things that you've done out here. But I just want to go back to, I want to know what I asked the taxpayers of Hendry County to do when I said, reach in your pocket and give us more money. What are we doing with that money? And if we're sitting there with $900,000 hard cash on hand, and you've got an estimate that's pretty strong for $1 million to get those fields, and then that's all we need is to get those lights burning, and then people, young and old, can get out there and run around, let's pull the trigger and make it happen.
That's what we're waiting on.
And then, you know, I don't know if you said basketball pavilion, if that is, and I'm not saying this is what we need, I'm asking. If you go down Palm Beach Boulevard, you drive straight down that road.
Right on 80.
That
Yes,
metal
sir.
building?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
always wonder why we don't have more of those in
That's what
Florida.
we're talking about, exactly
Yeah.
that right there. And
But
I
that's
went in-
a $800,000 building right there.
I talked to the actual contractor, it was KC Construction.
It was a $500,000 when they did it?
And it was $175,000 when they did it, but it's been a while.
175 for what? The red iron?
That's just the steel.
Yeah.
That's when
That's
you
just a
did it.
steel building.
Yeah. Yeah. That ain't, I mean, it's amazing what you can put up, but, you know, you're going to put the big fans, you're going to have to do a lot of things under there, and now you just doubled your building, you know? So long story long, though, is I mean, we can easily do that as well, and that's something that immediately you're going to see a return on investment because people are going to be
That's what we
using
want to
it.
accomplish, Mr.
Yeah.
Turner. That's we've been working on saving our pennies, getting this loan and putting everything in place to now. Okay, let's sit down. How do we move forward? What's the best way to move forward to value our pennies
And
for
then
the
the last thing I'm
taxpayers?
going to add to that is just, and I'm chintzy, y'all got to watch me on this, but in an effort to go vertical with lights and get people on clay running around and pretty grass, in an effort to get them on a nice basketball court and lights under it where it's comfortable, I'm willing to have a Morrow parking lot for 2 years as long as, you know, we're going to move to a solid idea of we're going to pave it. Because asphalt is very expensive, you know, and those are just costs that I
Actually,
think.
our main parking lot is already paved, been paved.
Uh-huh.
It's sitting paved, all the entrance.
So how many vehicles can park there? Rough estimate.
75 to 80.
Hey. So I mean, you know, on a good night, you would double that with your usage
And then we
of
got an
vehicles.
overspill on
Yeah,
grass,
yeah.
right next door to it also, Mr. Turner.
So, just to kind of overstate the obvious, Mr. Chairman, and I think it kind of falls in line, once the master plan that Commissioner Wills is saying needs to be in place, I think it would be very helpful to kind of use the model that we did on the force main with, we've got X amount of needs, we have X amount of dollars. When we can achieve this much, this can be accomplished. And then once we get the next $1 million, $2 million, we can accomplish this, once we pay this off and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's opposed to doing it. I think we all want to see it done.
we wanna see it
We
open.
just need to see a plan. We need to see a solid plan with money, dollars, and signs attached to it, with even a projection on time.
Mr. Chair, have you already set goals for the plans?
Yeah, that, just what
Yes,
we're talking
we've been in discussion with the plans on how to, what to do next. At this stage, like I said, we're working on the baseball fields. And we, like Mr. Turner said, we got to bring in these bids to see exactly what numbers we're dealing with. And we already got one on Musco. And then the other major component will be some electrical runs. For example, we got a 3-phase concentrator sitting on that property. From that concentrator, we run the 2-inch line, so many into the concession stand to be able to feed, as you well know, all this information. So that's the other little phase that we need to bid out also.
We're not sure about the price on
Well,
concession.
how long the fund's been in place? Because I believe last year we had the same conversation.
How long? What, Ms. Bird? I
The
didn't.
funds that they
Oh.
have right now been in place.
Actually, these funds are coming, like I said, we have 2 budgets. And some of this funding has been from previous years' old money, should I say? So, but
2011.
we're willing to put that money, what we have in there, to be able to move forward. Because,
So, I mean, the gist is, to Ms. Bird's question, just to add on to that, is I was unaware that they had this kind of money sitting in an account. And that's because West Rec has its own board. I've never heard anything but they're good fiscal stewards of their money. Commissioner Harris has educated me to the nth degree about, I remember at one point, Commissioner, I think the county gave both sides a $100,000 loan. Y'all didn't even take the loan. You said, we're fiscally so savvy, we don't even need the money. But now we're at a point where, you know, I don't like getting yelled at because there's a parking lot and nothing being used there. And I do think that's kind of maddening.
Correct.
And so, you know, and then on top of that, I asked people to raise their taxes. You know, I asked people to dig into their pocket more. And now I'm hearing we have $900K that's sitting there, and a rough idea of, I mean, it's government at its finest. And please don't take offense to that, but we're going to do this plan for $10 million. You know, that's awesome. I don't know what universe we're existing in, but that ain't happening. But let's pull back, and if we got 2.4 available with a loan, then let's look at what we're going to do. But then to the other side, y'all said, let's have a little diagram over there that says 2021, 2022. This is what we're going to do.
5-year plan.
2022, 2023, so on and so forth. We know that we're generating an extra $180,000 every year. I guess you're running pretty smoothly on $358,000 roughly to do all your day-to-day activities with everything that you have. So that generates the $538,000 that you create every year. So let's see what we're going to do, and maybe we got to wait 2 or 3 years and allow the other recharge to occur. But I'm all about it.
In the meantime, we have fields open, lights. You know, you said about $1 million, Romero, and so that leaves 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the 2.5, that'd leave 1.5.
Yeah, that'd be, the 9 be
Just-
almost enough to do the lights.
You're going to build the lights there's no ball fields there today.
They are there,
They're
yes,
there.
sir.
Yes.
They're just not lit.
Backstops are there.
The backstops.
Yeah.
Okay, the fields
Fence-
aren't
fence and
constructed. They're just the backstops.
Need-
well, we got some clay in there, and we've been working on it. So, you know, it's getting there. Not officially be played on, no, sir.
Okay.
But for practice, it's possible.
Okay.
They're ready to go for practice?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Getting close.
Anyway,
Excuse me, I need someplace to practice.
Well, and
I got
Commissioner
13
Turner's,
kids.
Commissioner Turner's point, I don't see, I mean, again, this is not really the time and place for this discussion, but I mean, this is, and hopefully the way that the discussion's framed is, what's the most important and best and highest use of the money today so that we can start using it. And I don't see building lights on something we can't play on. You know, I'd rather have something we can play on and be using and then add lights as money permits.
And that's why I started the backstops and all that to get those underway.
They're really close. The
Yeah.
clay,
Yeah.
the stuff's there. It's just a matter of completing it, but it's really close to being, I mean, I went by and looked too. You and I talked last week about it.
Yep. Mhm.
And I went by and looked, so it's really close. The lights would be a strong point. Right now, we have all the teams at one park, and everybody's struggling for practice time. Practice fields are no place. So if the 2.5, and I mentioned this before in a rec board meeting, concession stand, we don't have to have that right now. We can go temporary with that.
Yep.
You know, the biggest thing going right now is food trucks. They flock to the parks and everywhere else to a food truck.
Well,
So be it. But let's get the fields open, the lights
Oh,
up,
yeah.
the building built for the basketball, and let's start putting kids in. As Mr. Turner said, let's start putting humans out there. Let's do to
We
it.
should be able to do it all. We
Yeah.
should be able to do the concession stand, the lights, everything.
And I agree.
Not
we-
with $2.5 million.
Well, we've been doing travel ball for the last couple of years with my boys, and most of the places we play ball, the concession stand is white coolers out of the back of somebody's pickup truck. And, you know,
Yeah.
I'd much rather have a good field and a good restroom facility any day.
Yeah. 2.5 million is not going to do the lights and the concession stand.
And one thing for construction purposes, and Mr. Turner probably will know this, and I'm just thinking out loud. I am not in construction, but I'm just thinking, we even talked about possibly with whoever's going to do the lighting, not necessarily Musco, we're getting different bids also, that maybe stubbing up where the lights are going to go and have the runs already in place, where we don't spend the $1 million for the lights, but it's already there, where if we do the baseball fields or whatever, later on, we don't have construction trucks coming and destroying our fields, that type of deal, where they can deal with the outside perimeter.
Well, you
So
need
that's
to-
another option that we're looking into also.
But we need to stub them up where the basketball courts and stuff like that's gonna be.
So, there's a lot of different options that we're looking at, and that's why I take advice from a lot of people, my board, you and Shane and any engineer that wants to help me out. I'm all ears.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Could we have an update on the plan as it relates to the money that is on hand in the first meeting in March, or is that too quick?
Well, what's that turnout look like, Romero? Is that too quick? You need
Gives you a
to go
month.
to
I need
April
a
or
little
what?
bit more time, Mr. Turner.
First meeting in April?
Yes,
How about the second meeting?
That'll put us over here.
Yeah,
Let's do
second
that,
meeting in
second
April,
meeting in
we'll make it
April.
in LaBelle.
yes, sir.
Okay.
We can. That'll give us a lot better idea.
Yeah,
of
I'm
how
sure
to
the
move
city
forward.
commissioners get beat up the same way we do. People just want to know, what are you doing? And it's just, once this starts happening, then you'll get the buy-in. And we talked about that many times. When folks start using that park, then you're going to get the buy-in. It's hard to get the buy-in now because there's just nothing,
Right,
there's nothing to show for it.
I
The
understand.
work that y'all have done in all the other parks have been amazing. The stuff across the river you mentioned, it's great. People use it. The pavilion and stuff you put in, the batting cages, the stuff at the rodeo grounds, that's used a ton, and you get good revenue out of that. So the work that you guys are doing you've been doing a great job. The employees, you've been doing good. We have this lump sum sitting here now that we need to get that park, we need to get the gates open. And I believe that's going to be the next step. But really, we need that. We need the plans. The
Okay.
first thing we need is the updated site plan. What are you going to do?
Well, I got directions, so I know what I got to do.
Anyway, just 2 minutes. Okay, the rec board was established in 1990. I think Dave Lyons was the first rec board.
He's one of the original board
You
members,
can
David
look
Lyons.
at, see how gray his hair is? He wasn't that way in 1990. Then we got young Daniel Akins and Amanda Nelson and Mitch Wells. 1994, the fee was $35. 97 it went from 35 to 50. 2005, 50 to 75. 2011, 75 and 25 for the new ballparks. 2011 is 75 on the primary budget and 25 for 4 in 2011. 2016, we asked for $25, was turned down. The city is $25 more than the county for the last 2 years, so they're looking for us to match them. The city is paying $125 now, and we as a rec board have talked about coming back in this year and asking for $25 more dedicated to that park.
Well, may I inject there?
Yes,
And just in looking at what I'm looking at, and based on what I've heard,
okay.
being turned down for that hasn't kept y'all from doing what you need to do.
No, but if we hadn't been turned down, we would be through now.
No, you would
I don't
not.
believe that
You
at
would be
all.
nowhere
I
near.
don't
That's a
believe that at all.
ludicrous statement.
Close.
I don't
No,
believe
you
that at all
would.
either.
You would be. I so want to dig into that, but I'm not going to. I just
Yeah.
going to say I love you and no.
Well,
Mr. Swindle, we wouldn't be complete with the extra $25, but it would help us out. Every penny would help
Mr.
us
Romero,
out. And then,
Mr.
yes,
Please, I don't want to get into this argument.
Yeah,
Okay.
here's
Or
the
debate or discussion or
there's
anything.
nothing to argue
The
about.
part of it that I've talked to the rec board about, and you've been there, you listened to me. Once we have a plan, I have a problem in asking for more money, and I've told y'all that all along, I want the park done. But I don't want to go back and ask for 25, the next year ask for 25. Whatever it's going to take to get what we need to get accomplished, that's what we need to ask for.
Okay.
And right now, today, in fact, this room was slap full of humans, and quite a few of them said, you said you would never ask for that money again. And quite a few folks had to say, you're right. But the thing is $25 isn't going to do it. So it may be something more we have to ask for. And I don't have a problem asking. You mentioned that last year, and I said, look, it's my election cycle. I don't care. That's fine. But, and I've said this in rec board meetings, and then next year have to ask for more. I'd rather see the plan, see the money. Okay, 2.5, what's it going to do?
That's it. Mr.
then
Chair, that's
we'll go from there.
Mr. Chair, I asked, can we have the plan?
There you go.
First meeting in March. We got to wait until the second meeting in April. But yet we're ready to ask for $25 more, but we got to have at least 8 more weeks, or no, 12 weeks before we can give the plan to what we think we're going to be able to do with the 2.5. Guys, that's government getting in the way of itself. And that's why we get yelled at a lot by the public. So we have to be, and I'm so tickled to be in the position that I'm in because I'm able to be a fiscal steward of our tax dollars.
I understand and I agree with
I
you.
think you're doing an
and
incredible job.
I think we can accomplish what you're asking for, and I think we'll be able to move forward.
I think we can. I agree with that statement completely.
And I need to make the statement, I don't think the $25 is gonna make a difference. You asking me, you got money in your pocket and you're not using what you have. I don't see you allocating what you already have, but you're gonna ask me for more. So, I think that you need to bring forth the plan and wait until that time, and then you can look at it. But to ask for more money from the taxpayers and you're not using what you have, you've been sitting on the money all this time, so sit on it a little while longer.
But we couldn't take that money and do what we wanted to do. The
But you can
lights-
start something.
The lights cost more than $900,000.
When somebody building a house and they do the floor first, they start out with a plan.
Well,
They have a little money, they lay the foundation. So we need to see a foundation where you're going with it.
Well, we do. We have fences. We have everything. What we could afford, we have them out there.
Well, y'all share that with East Rec then. We'll be glad to. We got something to use it for, I promise you.
Like I said, Romero, you guys have been doing a good job. You have.
Thank you.
We have more to do, and we need to wrap this up. We were supposed to talk about East Rec, correct?
Yeah.
So we need to kind of wrap this up, and
Okay.
once we come back in April, we can see this, and again, I understand the city's frustration. They've already asked for the money, and they're getting it. And there's got to be some way that, we can figure out a way for them to be maybe using that money for themselves or compensating some of the other stuff for that. If they didn't earmark it, we earmark ours, we can't use it for nothing but that. And if they don't, then it's a possibility they could use that in other situations, until we get there. But we need to work together and make that happen, so.
Thank you very much
Appreciate
for your time.
this morning. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
for the sake of time, I'd like to ask Ms. Byrd, Commissioner Swindle, do y'all want the summary? I mean, everybody kind of knows what parks we got, right?
Yes, sir.
So could we just jump straight to the meat and potatoes of what? Yeah. Okay.
So you have before you, it's just very general, GIS map of where your parks are in each rec. There's a summary of each one of the parks in each area for you. Harlem, Point, Pioneer, and L1. And just real briefly, the summer camp discussion, just to kind of bring everybody up to speed. We contract with the YMCA. We had summer camp in Harlem and in Pioneer last year. There were 80 participants in Harlem and 25 to 30 in Pioneer. And just, we have a meeting set up, I think it's next week, is it next week? To follow up before summertime to get that rolling again for next year. from a staff perspective, we have 1.5, if you will, FTEs on East Rec, one full-time, one part-time employee that manages and maintains the parks. And here's the discussion. And so, oh, I'm doing it on my and so here's the discussion. And so just a few things from my perspective. I've heard you all talk about additional programs that are needed on the east side. And so this is for you to discuss whatever you'd like to discuss, but in terms of the programs, I have discussed with Randy. Mr. Martin is here from the city of Lewiston, and this is just our discussion purposes. You may like it, you may hate it, and that's what we're here for you to talk about. But they, as of late, I don't know if they've hired someone yet, but they were looking to hire a program manager. So we talked about what that might look like if we partnered with each other and what that could look like, you know, and working together on that. You may like that, you may not like that, but we were just trying to save dollars and be able to provide more services for our constituents. And with that, I will allow you to your opinions of your future goals and things you want to discuss.
Mr. Chairman, one of the things that I went to Jennifer about was a rec coordinator. We was able to get the East Rec back on the county side. We was partnering with the city, and that did not work. So we got it back on the east side. But the thing of it is we need a coordinator. So you have a recreation department, but you don't have you don't have things going on for the kids. There's no activity plans for them. They have the YMCA. We have established small groups like the GAP, the Prevent Crime in the Community, but there's no activity for the kids. When they get out of school, there's nothing for them to do. Yes, we open up the gym in the summertime after school is out, but we need someone to coordinate. So, and we don't have that. So to have the East Rec back and don't have the kids there, it's illiterate. It's just not doable. So I need a coordinator to have activities for the kids when they get out of school in the afternoon, and they know they have a plan. So that's one of the things that I would like to see come on the East Rec. And then you have Hooker's Point, that there's nothing for them to do. They got a park, but there's nothing for them to do, and all that go with the East Rec. So that's one of the things I would like to see in play. Commissioner Turner talked about the year-round basketball. That's fine. I love that, but I need something on a daily basis, because our kids need something that they have, or I know they're going to have this at the park, or this is going to be at the gym, and they don't have that. So an idle mind gets in trouble. We need to capture them before the streets capture them.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just to add on to what Ms. Byrd is saying, and Commissioner Byrd, one thing I want to really thank you on right there is you just mentioned Hooker's Point and the fact that they don't, there's actually 2 parks, but there's no structured environment. And I think we have a wasted opportunity with basketball. Hatham Kaki, Eamon Kaki, dear friends of mine, they routinely chastise me because we don't have the basketball program that LaBelle has, that y'all have had for how many years?
Next year will be 50.
Next year will be 50 years. They've had a city, ran LaBelle West Rec. That basketball program is second to none. And I think there's a definite correlation to why LaBelle smokes us a few times on the court. And so make no bones about it, I want to beat the Cowboys in every actual program that we can possibly compete against them in. But also there's an underlying thing up to Ms. Byrd's point where we have to get kids engaged, and we have to get them engaged earlier than later. I would just ask Ms. Byrd if we could crawl before we walk, because right now we're not doing anything. And so I would like for us to, I don't want to say slow down, but I'd like for us to have some aggressive conversations about this and throw all of the different concepts that we envision out there on a board and see what we're driving at. I'd like to have a community meeting in Flaghole. I'd like to have a community meeting in Montour. I'd like to have a community meeting in Pioneer, and then I'd love to attend something in Harlem as well and understand what it is. I don't think that we can facilitate 5 days a week in one particular community every day. That person doing 60 hours. But I also think that we need to start moving towards something where we have the Ramiro of the East Side. It needs to be someone that's based in the Clueston community. When I say close, then they could be from Montour all the way to the Palm Beach County line. Preferably, they understand our young people, they understand our old people, they know where all the facilities are, and it's not someone, no offense to what we've done in years past, but we've had a director or a quasi director that is from LaBelle that goes over there, and really, I think you can make an argument that they just kind of unlock doors and they schedule things, and then it's on the constituents to do whatever they do, and so I've had so many people, and it seems a majority of them, not that this is relevant, but a majority of them are from the African American community that rip my tail because we're not utilizing the facilities that we have in Harlem to the full extent of their abilities. And you have said publicly, I don't know how many times, we need to utilize these facilities more. So when I first got elected, Ms. Byrd, that account for East Rec was $174,000 in the red. Today it's not there. We're sitting well into the black, correct?
Positive.
We're positive, not well into. Okay, so I need to check myself on that one. But we need to look at that. And then I want to go one step back. Pioneer had summer camp for the last year. It used to be a West Rec item. It's now flipped over to East Rec. But really, the school board has made that happen. And I want to make sure that that conversation is happening right now so that we can assure that that's going to be facilitated again this summer. There's 25 to I'm going to say as many as 50 kids that get fed a day out there through that school lunch program. And so I want to have a commitment from this group that we're going to make sure that that doesn't fall by the wayside. And then I don't know how this all correlates with what Central County does in the summertime, but I think that they need to be active in this conversation as well.
Well, on last night, we had a community meeting concerning not just the rec, but the activity for our youth. And they was very disappointed not having the activities. And I know it takes the whole village, but we have to start it off as a county.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
we're not doing that. So I don't want to put it off to a long period of time. We need to sit and start a short goal and start some activity. That's why it's important. We have the rec coordinator now. Like I said, we got activities going on, but Emma Bird can't do it by herself. It's going to take the rec department to facilitate, to pull the kids in. So I got to have a body. I don't care how we figure it out, we got to have a body. And I brought it up. We need an individual that's going to come in, not today or tomorrow, but we need it from yesterday. So that need to hurry up and take place, because if we don't, we're losing our kids.
Do y'all
We're
have the
losing them,
money
and
to do that?
I can't answer that.
if it happened in Harlem, it feeds off someplace else. So if we don't fix it now, it's going to go off into the city and Pioneer. We need to correct some things, and we need to do it like yesterday.
Do they have the funding to do that, Jennifer?
What I'd like to do is bring back to you options, and so maybe, 3 or 4 different options and what that looks like from the budget perspective of what you have today, and then what that means. It's going to be a give and take to make that happen, and so it's going to be a combination of making things look a little different than what they look today in order to accomplish that position. And so,
And even though you said, I wanted the public to know that we was in the red, so it's a lot of things we could not do because we just didn't have the funds.
No, we literally pulled the plug.
Yeah.
We stopped programming for almost 2 summers consecutively.
So we're stable now to a certain extent, but the funds was not there. We was in the red. So.
But Ms. Byrd, let me add to you, Ms. Byrd. In that interim, though, I asked the constituents out, that I represent, to double their contribution to the pot, and they could make a heck of an argument that the only recreation services that they are rendered are what the city of Clewiston provides. Now, obviously, everything that is available to Harlem is available to any constituent in the county. So we can have that discussion all day long, and I get it. But I want to make sure that we are. I don't know. Flaghole's a tough one because there is no community facility. It's very hard to have anything like that out there. But Montour is right down the road, and Montour is, I think has some low-hanging fruits that could be had. I don't know if we have the finances to put a pavilion, and that would be gosh, all I have is the Trump quid pro quo comment in my brain right now. But if it would be us being able to work with them so that we could put a pavilion over some of their courts out there, but the ability to just work with that community and then make sure that Flaghole is a little bit more loved on, because they're contributing. They're contributing. And then I'd like to see the breakdown too, Jennifer. I used to know it, Ms. Davis, off the top of my head, what Hookers Point threw in, what Flaghole, all those. With the addition of Pioneer coming into East Rec, that changes things up. And I do think that, Pioneer's had some very small wins. We redid the playground out there. But, Ms. Bosley, I guarantee you, if you were to email the Bosleys right now, they have a laundry list of about 7 to 10 items that need to be addressed on that playground, and they're all legit. All that being said, I'm all about looking at it, Ms. Bird. If we can afford to bring a coordinator in, I don't think that we ought to bring somebody in for $20,000. I think it needs to be, a real position with benefits and somebody, that has a background in those worlds. And I also want to make sure, I'm adamant about this, they're going to marry up with the Harlem Library. They're going to marry up with the Hookers Point community. They're going to marry up with Flaghole. Their butt is not going to be anchored in one area. They're going to have to float around. They're going to have a vehicle. They're going to have to be engaged. And, the only way this is going to work is if they do like what Ramiro or what Mr. Philip Pelletier used to do, and that is, correct me if I'm wrong, they engage the volunteer community and they facilitate all of that.
Right.
Because you and I know you could throw a stick and you're going to hit somebody that wants to have a basketball program in the Harlem gym. Fair statement? There's half a dozen people right now I can think of just like that. You take Coach Semillian and what he's doing with the track program. You look at what the Cougars are doing and some of those things. And I think, marrying all that together, and then the last thing I'll say for the next 30 seconds is there has to be an emphasis on academics in everything that we do. That just has to rise to the equation every time in those discussions. So,
Quick question, has this conversation taken place for the board, the whole East Rec board?
it doesn't exist anymore.
Does not, you all
No,
are
sir.
not meeting, you are not?
No, sir.
Because we're no longer part of the.
Let me throw something in here real quick. You're talking about all the constituents that have skin in the game. Never heard no one mention Felda. I haven't heard anyone mention Wheeler Estates. They have skin in the game. They can't even drive home through Henry County. So we need to work on make sure they have kids too. Both of those places have kids too. So
Well, he said about the parks in Felda, is that what you mean?
there's one park in Felda.
Yeah.
But there's nothing in Wheeler Estates at all. You can't walk out there, you get run over.
Kind of like Flaghole.
But that's my point. So we gotta think about the entire county, everybody. And as far as, the basketball, if this fella sitting right here hadn't have started it, it wouldn't be here today. He makes that happen. On this side of the county, when you talk about recreation, that man's name's brought up.
Yeah.
And there's got to be someone to do just what he did. They got to step out and they got to make it happen because he did it.
Okay, to that point is you can hire as many people as you want to, pay them $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Okay, just for basketball alone, there's 38 volunteers. Each season, 4 basketball. We have at least 25 to 28 sponsorships that sponsor the whole basketball program. Mitch's Church is one of them. First Baptist Church is one of them. I could go on, Amon Kaki, on. So they furnish the funding. We have a bank account. We have about 38 volunteers. And so I direct it. And so you could go on with baseball, you could go on
Yes,
with
sir.
soccer, you could go on with everything. You can have one head, but if you don't have those volunteers, you can forget about everything.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Harris, let me ask you a question. My first note that I wrote was, I want the county to be the lead agency for a basketball season/program utilizing schools and open courts, adults and youth. And I want to ask you, is yours adults and youth?
We do have adults.
You'd have adults.
Yeah.
And
They're in the, when junior pro's over,
Uh-huh.
they go in the gym 2 to 3 nights a week.
Gotcha.
We take the gym after 4 o'clock. After Grove Gym goes over to East, or to West Rec.
Yes, sir.
And then, we issue them a background check and a key, and they go in and play.
Got you. And so, what do you all utilize any open air courts? Is it all inside?
Yes, mostly up the grove.
Okay.
Now, if you wanna go shoot around down here, you can.
Yes, sir.
But it's not real top notch.
So y'all don't
Use the
use,
high school as well.
you do use the high
They
school?
have used it.
We use the high school on Saturday morning.
Okay,
Right.
all right. When I was young, Kenneth and Kevin both played in a city basketball rec program. I remember Glades Gas, Lines, it was all the Little League teams plus a couple other sponsors. And we've allowed that to go away. And basketball is a sport you can play until you're done, you know?
Right.
And we've got to bring that back. And I think, Ms. Bird, if you're willing to work with the county administrator, and I'm willing to sit in the saddle with you and work hard to make the county be the lead agency. You know, we have a beautiful middle school, we have a beautiful high school. Those are, you know, nowadays everything's in close proximity, plus the gymnasium that you have in your community out there in
We got
Harlem.
3 gyms.
Easy. Yeah.
And even with that being said, this past year, Johnny Jackson did form the basketball team. We kind of pulled off the label, but he did form, and it went well. I'm not sure how many volunteers. I know he had over 100 kids that came out, if I'm right, and I know we're willing to continue that. But even in our gym, it is so hot.
Yeah.
We are working on.
The gym's deadly.
It was over 72. How much was it, Tommy? Just to.
It was over 75,000.
We was looking in for the air condition, you know, but then that don't even include the repairs. But it was so when you walk in the gym, I mean, you automatically start popping sweat.
You walk in the Harlem gym, it'll take your breath away. It gets so
So,
hot.
you know, we are working on that.
Our gym here is identical to it.
Yeah.
The one they play in here every day.
At Up the Grove?
How old is it?
They're the same gyms.
Same
Same
gym.
gym?
Big San Juan's and other looking
Wouldn't
gyms.
dare think about putting air conditioning.
You know, it's hotter in Harlem.
Okay,
Just a sweat.
Are we finished or?
I am.
Okay, I'm sorry, my mind is going back to East Rec and the East Rec board. Do we have, so to be clear, we're still contributing a large amount of money into the East Rec. But we don't have a board where we have any say-so, no updates, no direction, no anything.
That is correct.
I gotta tell you, I'm a little troubled by that.
So we have,
I am as well.
we have a special districts director, which is now Tommy Vaughn. In years past, the way the structure has always been is that position was over East Rec. And so to Commissioner Turner's point, it's been someone in LaBelle and East Rec is in Clewiston. And I personally feel like that's part of the problem and it's broken. The system is broken. And so we're here today having that discussion to try to go forward and take a different direction.
But
Oh,
if you're gonna
yeah.
have the East Rec, you need to have East Rec director live in the East Rec.
Well, and we gotta get a grip on that. I mean, we're putting a couple $100,000 into the East Rec facility. And
Don't have a board.
if we don't have a board, and if we don't have a say-so, then we need to use county facilities and school facilities, and City of Clewiston can, you know, have their rec, whatever they wanna do. So we either need to fix it, come up with some solutions, have our representation, or let's really look at the whole paradigm and see what we gotta do.
Is there a desire to re-engage the what we had was 2 city, 2 county, 1 school board, wasn't it?
Yes.
what we have on this side.
Same as Wicca.
No, y'all have 2 school boards, don't you?
No.
No, sir,
One
one
school.
school,
One school,
two
okay.
city, 2 county, 1 school.
And then I think a resident need to be, somebody from the community need to be added into that.
Commissioner
But I
Swindle.
think it's needed.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been pulling teeth for the last 3 years, and I think it's very much needed. I know we did away with it after we brought everything back to District 1 to Harlem, but other people's voices should be encountered what we're doing, because we're spending taxpayers' money. So I think that's great, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm troubled by us just continuing to fund things that we have no say-so or, you know, any. So we either need to stop funding it or
Yeah, our
get
ability
a
to
better
have
grip on it.
solid knowledge of what's going on.
Just to clarify, so you are, I mean, as a board, you are East Rec.
Yeah, the entire commission is who's in charge of East Rec.
Yeah, but we had it set up separately so that there was kind of that subcommittee that kind of directed.
There
correct?
was.
And
Yes, sir.
so we kind of put our faith in that basket, and I was unaware all along because I wasn't on it, so I was unaware that it kind of disbanded.
Yeah, it did. Yep. Yeah, we could not get, there was a couple different catalysts of why it ultimately went away. But the gist is that there was no desire to really set up a separate funding source like what West Rec does and have it go 100% in its entirety to that stream or to an account that would be facilitated by the clerk or whoever, and then that be how we run recreation from Pioneer going that way to the Palm Beach County line.
Okay.
There was no desire to do that.
So how much do y'all pay into the city?
We give the city $175,000 a year, 150, excuse me, 150.
So they need to be on that board.
You know, keep in mind, on that side, you have one man. Amos Williams takes care of every bit of it
Everything.
himself.
Everything.
And if you look at him, you wouldn't think the one fellow did that by himself. Amos, and you know, that needs to be noted there.
Yeah,
He-
he's a golden in, yeah.
He's incredible.
That's right.
If we lose Amos, we'll be in trouble. Hold on to Amos. I know it's been said many times, people worried about where he lives and everything else. Be glad he lives there.
Oh, yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
things
you
that-
better believe it.
Yes, a lot of things have not happened.
That's right.
Because of where he lived.
And
And
that-
because
that-
his passion for what he do.
And he does a lot that the county never pays for.
Well, for-
Opening doors, he
Oh,
does a
yeah,
lot,
right.
so.
I, for one, as a board member, want to see us either reengage the East Rec, shift, part with the city, work with the city, whatever's got to happen, but we can't continue at where we are.
All right.
We need to go and form a board.
Yes, sir, I agree.
Well, then we need to bring it up during the process of business by district, or either make it an agenda item and let's go. What I would recommend is that, my suggestion would be, Mr. Chair, is that we set this as an agenda item for the first meeting in Clueston in the month of February.
That sounds good. We need to get moving on it. No sense waiting. Just like we said earlier, let's move.
Commissioner Swindle has some nonverbal hesitation there for some reason.
That's show night, and so that may not be a long facilitating meeting. I don't have to be there.
We'll make it the second meeting in February?
We'll be back here.
Okay.
But I'm okay with that.
Okay.
You know, may want to do it in Clueston just because that's where maybe some of those constituents would want to weigh in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Look,
Don't-
here now,
don't
y'all
not do it
picking
on
on us
my
about
calendar.
pushing out to April, so how far are we pushing out here?
Yeah.
I say
Do it
we
in
have,
February. Do
I
it
say
in
we have a
February.
discussion in February.
Hey,
Let's make it an agenda item for
no, we
the
need
month
to
of
make
February.
sure it's inclusive.
Let's make it an agenda item for the meeting in February. I know it's show night, but the agenda may very well be light. If we have to bump it to March, we can.
Well,
Okay.
don't you already know what you're gonna do?
I think we do.
That's
We
what
we need to be in discussion with the city now.
I mean, because the
before that
gist is all we're gonna be doing, Commissioner Swindle, is requesting that the city of Clueston re-engage the conversation.
So-
The city manager's here right now, re-engage the conversation of wanting to re-enlist the East Recreation City of Clueston
So
Rec Board.
Just let Jennifer go and talk to them ahead of time.
And then we need 2 board members from up here to decide which 2 of you it'll be to represent the county.
I thought we already had that. We've had that. Yeah, I thought they were meeting. I didn't know they weren't.
So we have
Yes, we have to.
Commissioner Turner and you? All right, well, sounds good. Are we done with recreation? We got a meeting in about 4 minutes. Give everybody a chance to go to the restroom. Meeting adjourned.